Rich posted a 6:53.695 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Alan has a best lap time of 1:49.288. Snapes posted 1:52.285 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. With just 14 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Brian posted a 2:43.206 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Dominic Singendonk has a best lap time of 1:48.025. Brian Patterson posted 1:48.594 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? David Constable Berry has a best lap time of 1:48.248. Dominic posted a 3:03.795 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? With just 11 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. Jack Senna has a best lap time of 1:48.893. Patterson posted 2:49.204 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Andy Place has a best lap time of 1:53.060. Daniel Coxis is on their first practice flying lap. With just 7 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Robert posted a 1:53.757 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. John posted 2:14.088 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? David Constable Berry has a best lap time of 1:48.248. Robert Cormack has a best lap time of 1:52.120. Coxis is getting to grips with the Audi in this practice session. Dominic Fovag is in Lola. Robert posted a 1:52.379 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Daniel Coxis is on their first practice flying lap. Dominic posted 2:30.685 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Stokes has a best lap time of 1:49.841. With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Andy Place has a best lap time of 1:51.734. anticipation is high as the drivers line up for the qualifying session at Mondello Park. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Van der Sande is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal. But I have a feeling Van der Sande is going to make it count.
You can feel the tension building. Singendonk is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. This is where the mental game comes into play. Bedding is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused while also pushing the limits.
Brian Patterson is on their outlap.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
It looks like Bart van der Sande is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Bart handles it.
Bart van der Sande crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Mac McFarquhar is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying. Lord Farquhar has completed their outlap. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Jack Bedding is nailing both. You can feel that's the outlap done for Coxus. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. This is where the mental game comes into play. Marcus Singendonk is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. Marcus Singendonk crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. It's an impressive showing by Allen, currently in fourth. They've showcased their talent, but will they be able to find those crucial extra tenths of a second to climb higher? Alan has completed their first flying lap in 1:48.258. Currently in 8th, Jack has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position.
You hit the nail on the head, Hal. Jack's
Bedding has just completed a lap in 1:49.512. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. A strong showing from Chris Stokes as they currently sit in 5th. With the session drawing to a close, they'll need to dig deep and find that extra burst of speed to improve.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. Chris Stokes has done a fantastic job to claim 5th. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
As Sing and Donk completes their outlap, they will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. And there goes Dominic, currently in position 9. They've shown great skill and consistency so far, but with a few minutes left, there's still time to improve their result.
Couldn't agree more, Hal.
Dominic Fovog has just completed that lap in 1:49.762. Their best lap so far is 1:49.762, putting them in P9. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? It's been a struggle for Andy Place in qualifying. As of now, they find themselves in 16th position, which is well below their expectations. However, motorsport is unpredictable, and there's still an opportunity for them to shine and move up the grid. It's been a challenging day for Andy Place in qualifying. They currently sit in 16th position, which is not reflective of their true potential. With the session nearing its end, they'll need to push hard and extract every ounce of performance to improve their result.
You're absolutely right, Hal. Andy Place might be disappointed with their current position, but there's still time to make a difference. They'll need to remain composed, analyze the data, and push themselves to the limit to improve their qualifying result.
I'm Hal, the RRM commentator bot. Bring it on. It's a lovely day for racing here at Mondello Park as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Dominic Singendonk is on their practice outlap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Mondello Park as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Marcus Singendonk is on their practice outlap. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. It's a lovely day for racing here at Mondello Park as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Here we go, folks. The atmosphere is electric as the drivers prepare to unleash their machines on the track at Mondello Park for the qualifying session.
Strap in, folks, because we're in for a wild ride.
Bart van der Sande is on their outlap. The adrenaline is pumping. David Constable-Berry is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Stokes is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. You can feel the tension building. Cormac is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused while also pushing the limits.
This is Dominic Singendonk crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. As Dominic Singendonk completes their outlap, they will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. It looks like Chris has completed their outlap. David Constable-Berry is on their outlap.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how David handles it.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Daniel Coxis is rising to the occasion. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Marcus Singendonk is nailing both. It's been a challenging session for David. They're currently languishing in 11th position, which is not where they had envisioned themselves. But in motorsport, anything can happen, and with their skill and that's the outlap done for DCB. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. It's been a challenging day for Chris Stokes in qualifying. They currently sit in 11th position, which is not reflective of their true potential. With the session nearing its end, they'll need to push hard and extract every ounce of performance to improve their result. Impressive work from Bedding, who has claimed 4th on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position. Jack has just completed a lap in 1:48.983. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. It hasn't been the best qualifying session for Bart so far. As Van der Sande completes their outlap, they will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. Impressive display by Coxis. Daniel Coxis has just completed that lap in 1:50.292. Their best lap so far is 1:50.292, putting them in P9. Will they be able to hold on to that spot? A disappointing performance from Robert so far in this qualifying session. Finding themselves in 12th position is certainly not what they were aiming for. However, they have the talent and experience to bounce back and salvage a better result. Cormac has completed their first flying lap in 1:52.727. Daniel Coxis has positioned themselves well in 9th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start.
Spot-on analysis, Hal. Daniel Coxis has positioned themselves well in 9th. It's now crucial for them to maintain their focus and defend their position in the upcoming race.
A solid performance from Daniel as they currently hold position 9. However, with the session coming to a close, they'll need to find that extra bit of speed if they want to move up the grid.
Great analysis, Hal. Daniel Coxis has shown excellent pace to secure 9th. Now the focus shifts to whether they can use their track position to their advantage in the race.
You've joined us on a breezy day here at Mondello Park, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The drivers are looking focused out there on the grid. I'm excited for this one, Hal.
Chris Stokes will be feeling confident starting from pole position. As the green flag drops, keep an eye on James Allen starting in 2nd position. In 3rd place, we have Brian Patterson. Taking the 4th spot is Jack Bedding. Lining up in 5th is Dominic Singendonk.
A strong grid position, and they'll be expecting a solid result today.
On the 6th grid slot, we have Bart van der Sande. From the middle of the pack, we have Dominic Fauvarg in 7th place on the starting grid.
That Toyota looks like it has some potential.
Mac McFarquhar will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from 8th on the grid.
It's the mediums tires for Mac.
Daniel Coxis is going to be starting from 9th.
Starting on the mediums tires.
In the middle of the pack, we have Marcus Singendonk starting from the 10th position on the grid.
The Dutch driver has been driving the wheels off the Audi in practice.
Rich Snape is in a solid position starting from 11th on the grid. Starting from 12th on the grid is not ideal for Danny Darwin, but they're a fighter.
They have the talent to make their way to the front of the pack.
Starting from 13th on the grid is a decent position for Robert Cormac, all things considered.
They're a fighter and they won't give up until they've crossed the finish line.
John Astrop is lining up 14th. David Constable-Berry may have a bit of work to do starting from 15th on the grid. And the green flag drops. The race is officially underway.
The drivers will need to be aggressive but also patient. They can't afford to make any mistakes if they want to stay in the running for a podium finish.
It's a delicate balance, Sky, but the best drivers know how to find that balance and make it work to their advantage.
It's going to be an exciting first sector. I can't wait to see how this all plays out.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one. Having started in 6th, Bart van der Sande will be looking to establish themselves in this race.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Mondello Park. This is going to be good to watch.
As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage? The drivers are jockeying for position. Dom will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position. I can't wait to see how this race will play out. There's not much to report on from John Astrup at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. What a move, the Kiwi has moved up to 8th.
You can't argue with results like that. Astrup is really making their mark on this race.
It looks like Mack is all over Dominic. I think they're going to press them through Stenner line and try and press for a mistake.
For sure, Hal, that's exactly what I would be doing here. As Dominic is going to be aware of them riding their bumper. Can they make it past without taking the paint off?
And McFarquhar has just won the place from Dominic.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
The race is really heating up. Van der Sande is hunting down Patterson with everything they've got.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Van der Sande needs to stay patient and wait for Patterson to make
braking development. I don't think that's the fastest way around Mondello Park. Things are heating up as Van der Sande tries to close the gap to Brian Patterson.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Van der Sande should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Brian Patterson.
The gap between Van der Sande and Brian Patterson is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds.
This is where the mental toughness of Van der Sande comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way.
In your experience, Sky, what was the most important aspect of managing tyre degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Hal, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Singendonk, who is currently in P10, but Rich Snape is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Marcus Singendonk.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Rich Snape is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Marcus Singendonk in P10 doing everything they can to catch up.
A setback for Marcus, who has just been, hold on a second, that won't be ideal for Mac McFarquhar. The battle for 10 is heating up as Singendonk tries to catch Lord Farquhar in P10. It looks like McFarquhar is pulling away from Marcus Singendonk. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Daly's Drift.
Marcus Singendonk needs to focus and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Mac McFarquhar.
David Constable Berry is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can David keep it together?
An impressive showing from Constable Berry, who has gained positions and left Robert Cormack in the dust.
Definitely. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. DCB needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
No room for error here. McFarquhar is breathing down the neck of Daniel Coxis, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. The best laid plans of mice and men are sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Lord Farquhar right now as they're struggling to keep up with Coxis.
This is a frustrating situation for Mac McFarquhar, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Daniel Coxis.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Brian Patterson trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Jack Bedding. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Brian Patterson close in enough to mount a challenge? Brian Patterson is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Bedding to 0.6 seconds. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Mac will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's going to be tough for McFarquhar as Daniel Coxis seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen McFarquhar pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
Great driving from Mac McFarquhar, who has just gained a place and moved up to 9th.
That's what we like to see. Lord Farquhar is really showing their class today.
Disappointing for Lord Farquhar, they now find themselves in 10th.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Mac needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
Bart van der Sande is on a mission, chasing Brian Patterson, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It's not looking good for Van der Sande. They're still behind Brian and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. During your racing career, Sky, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tyres due to tyre degradation?
It was a combination of factors, Hal. Monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tyre wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tyres.
Coming into Tarzan, the fight for third is heating up. Who will be the first to blink?
This battle between Brian Patterson and Jack Bedding is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
Heartbreak for Brian Patterson as they slip down the field.
Definitely. But Brian Patterson is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
The tension is building as Bart van der Sande trails behind Jack Bedding. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Jack Bedding hold on, or will Bart van der Sande be able to close them down? A great moment for van der Sande, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. The crowd is on tenterhooks as David in 11th chases after Marcus Singendonk. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can David Constable Berry find a way to catch up? Good news for Constable Berry, the gap to Singendonk has decreased. It's now down to 0.6 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
It looks like Brian is pushing hard to catch up to Bart van der Sande. The gap is over a second, but Brian is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Bart van der Sande?
That's right. Patterson in fourth knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up, but Bart van de...
Hold up, breaking info. Looks like that's a mistake from Marcus. This could be costly.
Whoops, Marcus Singendonk is going to be kicking themselves.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Bart trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Jack Bedding. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It seems like Bart van der Sande has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Bedding's lap time there.
We will have to see if Jack Senna has got any answers for that.
The race is heating up as Rich Snape in 7th closes in on Dominic Fovard. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
This is where experience comes into play. Dominic Fovard has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Rich is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
Snape is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Dominic at the moment. Singendonk seems to be putting the pressure on Robert. It's looking good for Singendonk, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Robert Cormack.
Absolutely. Marcus Singendonk is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at RRM. Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Singendonk has dropped down to 12th. This is where the race gets really interesting. Patterson is closing in on van der Sande.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Brian Patterson needs to be careful not to overdo it.
It's not going to plan for Patterson. They are still behind Bart van der Sande and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Brian Patterson. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
The pressure is on for Marcus Singendonk as they try to catch up to Robert Cormack. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. This is what high-octane racing looks like. Marcus Singendonk is breathing down the neck of Cormack, not giving them any room to relax. Big gains for Singendonk as they move up the field, leaving Robert Cormack behind. Well, breaking update. Oh dear, Cox's has had an incident. Astrop is giving it their all as they chase down Patterson in P3.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
John has just managed to set their fastest lap of the race so far with a lap time of 1 minute. This is a thrilling battle as Dom edges closer to Mack in their fight for P7. The gap between Dominic and Mack is widening. It's now up to 0.5 seconds.
Dom is really going to need to push in Dunlop to try and gain some ground on Lord Farquaad before they disappear into the sunset.
During your racing career, Sky, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Hal, I had a few techniques. One was to take a couple of deep breaths and briefly reset my focus. Another was to use a specific keyword or phrase as a mental trigger to refocus my mind on the task at hand.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Brian Patterson is chasing Bedding in P2.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Brian Patterson is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Jack.
It looks like we might get a battle between Brian Patterson and Jack Bedding.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
The gap between Dom and Lord Farquaad is razor thin as they vie for 7th in this nail-biting contest.
It's a thrilling battle for position as these two drivers give it their all. Who will come out on top? This is racing at its finest.
Breaking update. That won't be ideal for Brian Patterson.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they've been looking at a decent result.
Hold on to your hats, folks. The Kiwi is right on the heels of Bedding, and we're in for a wild ride. Looks like that's a mistake from Chris Stokes. This could be costly.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 12 kph out there right now.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
The gap between Marcus Singendonk and Coxus is getting smaller.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Let's talk about tyre degradation. Sky, how does it affect the car's handling and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling, Hal. As the tires wear, the grip reduces and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
John is running 4th. They are trying to catch Bart van der Sande. John needs to get more consistent. Sky, they have just put in a slower lap than Bart. This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I'm so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow AI, it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Dominic Fauvargue trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Mac McFarquhar. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fauvargue close in enough to mount a challenge?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Dominic tries to reel in Mac McFarquhar. But Mac McFarquhar is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Dominic Fauvargue find some extra pace to bring the fight to McFarquhar?
Bart van der Sande is placed 2nd at the moment. They are hoping to keep the distance ahead of Jack Bedding, who is 0.7 seconds behind.
Absolutely right, Hal, and Jack Bedding knows that too. They have to keep driving at their best if they want to take advantage of any opportunity that comes their way.
Looks like Daniel is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. This is where every inch counts. Daniel Kochish is pushing hard to close the gap on Marcus Singendonk. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing. The race is really heating up. Astrop is hunting down Bedding with everything they've got. The tension between Astrop and Bedding is palpable as they battle for P3. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It's game on now. John has closed the gap to Jack Senna. It's now down to 0.3 seconds. The intensity is off the charts as Mac hounds Fauvargue, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit.
Should things go awry, McFarquhar and Dominic might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
Mack appears to be losing ground on Dom. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Honda and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. I love being here at Mondello Park. What an awesome place to be witnessing these titans of the track battle it out.
Indeed, Hal, what a magnificent sight and sound. I love listening to the roar of these engines. Let's just listen for a moment.
Dominic is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
A great pass for Fovard as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Rich Snape has lost ground.
Yes, but Dominic can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
The pursuit is on. John is closing the gap on Jack, determined to claim P3. This is where the true champions shine, and James Allen is certainly showing their class in the final sector. It's all over. James Allen has claimed victory in this race with a stunning drive that will be remembered for years to come. Clearly at the top of their game right now. A nail-biting finish, but Van der Sande claims second place. That was an outstanding performance from Assetto. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Followed by Jack Bedding, Brian Patterson, Dominic Fovard, and Rich Snape in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 8th, 9th, and 14th sees Mac McFarquhar, David Constable-Berry, and Chris Stokes. Jimmy Linfield end in 15th. Marcus Singendonk in 10th. Taking 11th and 12th is Daniel Coxis and Danny Darwin. In 13th, it's Robert Cormack. Sky, the drivers are ready. Should we get it on?
Yes, Hal, we should definitely get it on.
Jimmy Linfield will have the best seat in the house starting from pole position.
But they can't let that advantage go to waste. They will need to stay focused and keep their eyes on the prize.
Chris Stokes will look to make a splash from the second position on the starting grid.
And like many others, they are starting the race on the medium's tire compound.
Coming in at third, we have Robert Cormack. And in the 4th position, it's none other than Danny Darwin. Daniel Coxis has qualified 5th. As the engines roar to life, Marcus Singendonk prepares to take off from the 6th position on the starting grid.
They've got the heart of a lion, and they won't back down from a challenge.
David Constable-Berry is placed in 7th.
An opportunity for some good points today, but the others aren't going to make it easy.
Starting from the 8th position, Matt McFarquhar will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win.
But they can't afford to be complacent. This is race day after all.
Sitting in 9th is Rich Snape.
Expect some battling with Dominic Fauvard.
On the 10th grid slot, we have Dominic Fauvard.
What can we expect from the British driver?
Brian Patterson may not be starting from pole, but they're still in with a shot. Jack Bedding will need to be on top of the game starting from 12th on the grid.
The A-class driver will want to move forwards from here.
Starting from 13th on the grid is a tough ask for John Astrop, but they're up for the challenge. Starting from 14th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for Bart van der Sande. James Allen is going to be starting from 15th.
But they're going to have to be aggressive if they want to make up ground on the leaders.
The green flag is out and we're racing. Who's going to take the lead?
These opening moments can make or break a driver's race. Strategy and skill are key to navigating this intense start.
These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. The tension is palpable here. No one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Hal.
It's like Dominic started with a flat tire, slipping down the order right from the get-go. Not the start that Dom wanted in this race. Seems they have been caught off guard from the get-go.
They've definitely made life harder for themselves, but there's still plenty of time to make up for that slow start, Hal.
Did someone forget to tell Lord Farquhar that the race has begun? They're already losing ground. It looks like Lord Farquhar was channeling a sloth at the start, losing places as they crawled off the line.
Well, Hal, it looks like Mac McFarquhar is starting the race on the back foot, but let's see if they can pull off a hair-like comeback.
A brilliant maneuver from John Astrop, who has just moved up the field.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
Tough break for John, who has just lost a position. Marcus Singendonk has the pedal to the metal chasing Snapes.
To which,
Stop the press. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Mondello Park is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Lord Farquhar is right behind Darwin, keeping the pressure on for 9th place.
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting with the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session with the wall.
And Lord Farquhar has just won the place from Danny Darwin. You know, Sky, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, hell, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
Things are heating up as Rich tries to close the gap to Jack Senna.
It's a game of strategy now as Snape hunts down Jack. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
The gap between Snape and Jack Bedding is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds. Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
Ha ha, I don't think that's how it works. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right. But wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for a cup of tea and a chat? We could have a lovely little race reunion.
It's a game of inches now as Cox's tails Linfield closely, ready to capitalize on any braking update. I don't think that's the fastest way around Mondello Park.
Dom is not going to be happy about that.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
If Coach Ish isn't careful, they might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
That won't be ideal for Marcus Singendonk.
Whoops, Singendonk.
Breaking alert. This is a disaster for Marcus Singendonk in the Audi RS3 coming into the pits and isn't going to do much to improve the chances in this race. This is where the race gets really interesting. Lord Farquaad is closing in on Cormac.
You can see that car bouncing around as they ride the curves. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Mac McFarquhar gaining places and Robert Cormac losing them. Look at that, Jack Senna is hot on the tail of Cormac. It seems like Jack is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. Superb driving from Bedding, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Impressive, Jack is really showing their skill and determination out there.
Oh, this is getting intense. Constable Berry is just a few car lengths behind Bart van der Sande. The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for David Constable Berry right now as they're struggling to keep up with Van der Sande. Braking development. Oh dear, Stokes has had an incident.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 5 kph out there right now.
The action is non-stop as Dom shadows Cormac through every twist and turn, determined to claim 12th.
A misjudgment by either driver could result in a close encounter of the tire barrier kind, and that's one handshake they'll want to avoid.
Dominic Fauvargue is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Robert Cormac at the moment.
It's not over yet, but Fauvargue needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Robert Cormac.
Allen could be looking for a way up the inside of Brian Patterson. What a move. James Allen has moved up to 5th. They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position, daring each other to brake later and go deeper into the corners. Looks like Allen is pulling away from John. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Devaney's.
This is where the mental toughness of John Astrup comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way.
This is a thrilling battle as Constable Berry edges closer to Van der Sande in their fight for P3.
Can Constable Berry close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass?
It's not going to plan for David. They're still behind Bart and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
DCB needs to focus and keep pushing. Even when things aren't going their way, if they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Bart.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Mac McFarquhar, who is currently in P10. But Chris Stokes is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Mac McFarquhar. The gap between Lord Farquhar and Chris is widening. It's now up to 0.7 seconds.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
The battle for 4 is heating up as Patterson tries to catch David in P4. Patterson could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than Constable Berry. The excitement is palpable. This is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
Braking update. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. I think James Allen is going to try and outbrake RS3 as they come into Dunlop. This could get into place, but it may all end badly. It's a challenging situation for John. They're sandwiched between their fierce competitors, Allen 0.1 seconds away and Bart van der Sande 0.2 seconds ahead. They'll need to stay sharp and find an opportunity to make a move.
I'm on the same page, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind provide valuable context to understand the challenges faced by Astra. It's a constant juggling act, and they need to seize the right moment to gain an advantage.
Oh, things are getting intense for Astro. Braking development. Looks like that's a mistake from John. This could be costly.
Mondello Park is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The pressure is on for Lord Farquhar as they try to catch up to Chris Stokes.
I think they are going to take them.
Mac appears to be losing ground on Chris. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Lola and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. John is chasing Daniel Coxas in P10. John Astrop has just put in a faster lap than Daniel Coxas, so that's going to give them something to worry about. Looks like James is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
It seems like James Allen has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Paterson's lap time there.
As long as James Allen can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Patterson is on a mission, chasing Van der Sande, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. It seems like Patterson is struggling. Their last lap time wasn't as good as Bart van der Sande's. Danny appears to be trying to find a way round John. They could make a move on them in Daly's drift. Danny Darwin could be on a charge here. Sky, they have just put in a quicker lap than John. The gap between Chris Stokes in 7th and Jack Bedding remains over a second, but Chris Stokes is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 6 minutes?
Absolutely. Chris Stokes in 7th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
The gap between Chris Stokes and Bedding is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. As a former racing driver, Sky, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial, Hal. The team provides valuable information and support, helping the driver make the right decisions on track. A strong bond between the driver and the team can be the difference between winning and losing.
Every move counts now as Patterson works to reel in David and overtake for P2. It's not looking good for Brian Patterson. They're still behind David Constable-Berry and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Brian Patterson needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Fantastic racing on show here today, and it's not just the top drivers who are impressing us. Even the drivers at the back of the pack are putting up a good fight, battling it out for every position.
It's a testament to the level of competition at RRM Motorsport Club. Even the smallest mistake can cost you valuable seconds or even lead to a crash. But these drivers are up to the challenge and they're giving it their all. It's clear that RRM Motorsport Club really is the place to be for top quality racing.
The race is really heating up. Bart van der Sande is hunting down Brian with everything they've got.
The mental game is just as important here. Van der Sande must keep their cool while putting pressure on Brian Patterson.
Bart van der Sande is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Brian Patterson at the moment.
This is a frustrating situation for Bart van der Sande, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Patterson.
An impressive showing from Stop the Press. I don't think that's the fastest way around Mondello Park. It's an intense battle for position as Alan tries to outmaneuver Bart. This is edge of your seat racing. Big gains for Alan as they move up the field, leaving Bart van der Sande behind.
Absolutely, Hal. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and James Allen can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
Oh dear, Bart van der Sande has had an incident. Darwin is giving it their all as they chase down Robert Cormack in P11.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Danny Darwin is really walking that tightrope.
The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Danny Darwin right now as they're struggling to keep up with Cormack.
This is a tough situation for Darwin. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Stokes is closing in on Jack Bedding.
The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Can Stokes close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
It looks like Chris Stokes is making a move. The gap to Jack Bedding is now down to 0.3 seconds.
That's a great effort from Chris. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one can't wait to see what is coming next.
Apparently we're going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. Good, hold that thought. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Cormac. As they speed through Bahrain's Bend, Alan is relentlessly pursuing Linfield in a high-stakes battle for position. Fantastic move from Alan, who has just gained a position. Tactics are clearly going to play an important part in this race.
They are going to need to look after their tires, and will want to keep something in them for the crucial latter stages, as their tires wear and fuel levels deplete and the handling changes.
And don't forget the track grip increases as more rubber gets laid down.
Indeed, the conditions are constantly changing, and the drivers need to adapt, otherwise it can cost crucial time and jeopardize their position.
Oh, this is getting intense. Patterson is just a few car lengths behind McFarquhar. The gap between Patterson and McFarquhar is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Patterson needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to McFarquhar.
This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit. Alan is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to David to 0.1 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
It's looking good for James Allen, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and David Constable-Berry.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
Look at that, Chris Stokes is hot on the tail of Jack.
The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds. Who will come out on top?
Looking at the lap times, Chris Stokes is not on pace with Jack. Can they turn it around?
It will be interesting to see if Bedding can keep outpacing Stokes.
It's a brilliant day for racing. Hold on a second, and Chris Stokes has just won the place from Bedding.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
This is a thrilling battle as Patterson edges closer to Matt McFarquhar in their fight for P6. It looks like McFarquhar is pulling away from Brian Patterson. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Honda.
It's not ideal for Patterson, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
A strong showing from Jimmy, who's... Wait, looks like that's a mistake from Jimmy Linfield. This could be costly.
Jimmy Linfield is not going to be happy about that.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Brian Patterson will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. It looks like we might get a battle between Patterson and Matt McFarquhar.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
A great moment for Patterson, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Absolutely. Brian Patterson is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
McFarquhar is running 6th. They are trying to catch Brian Patterson.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Alan is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon?
They're not leaving anything on the table.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from James Allen.
You can see the sheer determination on James Allen's face as they take the win. That's the mark of a true champion, folks.
David takes 2nd place with a fantastic race. What a race from Bedding. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned 3rd place on the podium.
Great job bringing it home.
Chris Stokes, Brian Patterson, Matt McFarquhar, and Bart van der Sande brings home 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. With John Astrup, Jimmy Linfield, Daniel Coxus, and Danny Darwin in 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Finishing 12th, 13th, and 14th is Robert Cormack, Dominic Fovard, and Rich Snape. I'm Hal, the RRM commentator bot. Bring it on. Chris Stokes is on their practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Mondello Park as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. John Astrop is on their practice outlap. You've joined us on a breezy day here at Mondello Park, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Robert Cormack is on pole.
But they will have to be smart about their moves. They must not burn out too early.
As the green flag drops, keep an eye on Danny Darwin starting in second position. Jimmy Linfield is lining up third.
Jimmy will be expecting to bring home solid points.
Coming in at fourth, we have Daniel Coxus. We're seeing Rich Snape in the fifth spot. Sitting in sixth is David Constable-Berry. Chris Stokes is placed in seventh. The eighth starting position belongs to James Allen, who will be looking to make up ground early on.
But they can't afford to be complacent. This is race day after all.
Mac McFarquhar will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from ninth on the grid.
Mac will have wanted a better start than ninth.
Bart van der Sande is 10th. Dominic Fovog has qualified 11th. Brian Patterson is in a solid position starting from 12th on the grid.
Are the mediums tires the way to go?
Starting from 13th on the grid is a tough ask for Jack Bedding, but they're up for the challenge.
The A-class driver will want to move forwards from here.
Starting from 14th on the grid is a bit of a mixed bag for John Astrop. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
These first moments can set the tone for the rest of the race. It's all about keeping a clear head and making smart decisions.
As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at RRM Motorsport Club for making this all possible. Heroes one and all.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
These early salvos will shape the outcome of this race. Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here.
What a beautiful day for racing here at Mondello Park. This is going to be good to watch.
The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one. Having started in 6th, David will be looking to establish themselves in this race. Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today. The battle is on for Daniel Cox's. They're sandwiched between two rivals, Bart 0.1 seconds away and not a real Professor 0.1 seconds ahead. It's a true test of their racecraft.
I couldn't agree more, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind provide valuable information for Daniel Coaches. They need to assess the situation and use the gaps strategically to plan their moves.
Stokes wants to get into Alan's slipstream.
Rubbing is racing. Let's hope they don't rub it too hard.
Oh dear, Stokes has dropped down to 11th.
That's got to hurt. Chris will be kicking themselves right now.
A setback for Stokes, who has just been passed. Fauvargue has the pedal to the metal chasing Stokes.
Do they have the speed for a move? And more importantly, do they have the talent?
Talk about being caught in the middle. Dom is sandwiched between their rivals, John Clark 0.1 seconds behind and Stokes 0.1 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on.
Absolutely, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind are like windows of opportunity for Dom. They need to assess the time.
Braking alert. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Whoops, Chris Stokes is going to be kicking themselves.
Lord Farquhar seems to be putting the pressure on Robert. Talk about pressure. Mac is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Daniel Coxis and Robert Cormack.
You're absolutely right, Hal. The gaps to the cars ahead and behind act as a measuring stick for McFarquhar's performance. They'll have to keep a close eye on those gaps to stay in control of their race.
It looks like Alan is all over Daniel. I think they're going to press them through Honda and try and press for a mistake.
For sure, Hal, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Daniel is going to be aware of them riding their bumper. There is no room for error in this battle.
It looks like Daniel Coxis is pulling away from Alan. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Island.ie.
This is a tough situation for Alan. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
This is a thrilling battle as Snape's edges closer to Jack Senna in their fight for P9.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Braking alert. That won't be ideal for Jack.
Mondello Park is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown? It's looking good for McFarquhar, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Robert Cormack.
Yes, but Mac can't rest on their laurels. They have to keep pushing to consolidate their position.
James Allen could be looking for a way up the inside of Daniel Coxis.
I might have said this before, but dog bone, you know the rest.
It's not going to plan for Allen. They're still behind Daniel Coxis and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
James Allen needs to focus and keep pushing. Even when things aren't going their way, if they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Daniel Coaches.
Wow, John Astrop is really pushing hard to catch up to Cormac. There's blood in the water for 8th place. What a move. John has moved up to 8th.
You can't argue with results like that. Astrop is really making their mark on this race.
Oh, this is getting intense. Cormac is just a few car lengths behind John. It's not looking good for Robert Cormack. They're still behind the Kiwi and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Robert Cormack needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
A tough moment for Robert, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 10th.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Cormack needs to stay calm and focused and make their move when the time is right.
Dom is giving it their all as they chase down Cormack in P10.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Fovarg is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Robert Cormack.
And Dom has just won the place from Cormack. Sky, what's the impact of tyre degradation on race strategy? How does it affect the driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Hal. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires.
Braking development. Oh dear, Linfield has had an incident.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they've been looking at a decent result.
The pressure is on for Jack as they try to catch up to Robert. Jack is on a charge. Their split time shows they have upped their pace.
Can betting keep it together?
Let's talk about tyre degradation. Sky, how does it affect the car's handling and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling now. As the tires wear, the grip reduces and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as James Allen in 10th chases after Dominic Fovarg. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can James Allen find a way to catch up?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Allen in 10th determined to catch up. But we know Dominic Fovarg isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Allen is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Van der Sande, who is currently in P3. But Danny Darwin is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Bart van der Sande.
This is where experience comes into play. Danny Darwin has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Bart van der Sande is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
Good news for Bart van der Sande, the gap to Darwin has decreased. It's now down to 0.4 seconds. We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at RRM Motorsport Club. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. The battle for 7 is heating up as Coxes tries to catch Brian Patterson in P7.
Can Daniel Kochish close the 0.3 second gap and make a pass?
The best laid plans of mice and men are Sky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Daniel Coxes right now as they're struggling to keep up with Brian Patterson. Sky, can you share some strategies that drivers use to manage tyre degradation during a race?
Certainly, Hal. Some strategies include adjusting the car's setup for better tire life, altering driving lines to reduce wear, and using tire management techniques like lift and coast to preserve grip for as long as possible.
Van der Sande wants to close that gap with Danny Darwin. A great pass for Van der Sande as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Danny Darwin has lost ground.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see.
Mac McFarquhar is on a mission, chasing Bart van der Sande, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Mac McFarquhar is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they're 0.43 seconds down.
Can McFarquhar refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
What do you think? Sky, are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Hal. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
Should things go awry, Dominic and Coach Ish might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
Fauvargue appears to be losing ground on Cox's. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Bahrain's Bend and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. Hey, Sky, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Hal, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
It's a tight race with Brian Patterson in 6th, just managing to stay ahead of the Kiwi in 7 by a margin of 0.1 seconds.
You're right. Brian Patterson in 6th needs to stay cool under pressure and make every move count. But John Astrup is a fierce competitor and they won't give up without a fight.
Fantastic move from Brian, who has just gained a position. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. It seems like John Astrup is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace. Braking alert. I don't think that's the fastest way around Mondello Park. Things are heating up as Dom closes in on Cox's. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
This is the moment where legends are made. These drivers will go down in history as the ones who fought tooth and nail for the top spot.
Tough break for Fauvargue, who has just lost a position. You know, Sky, during a long race like this, how easy is it for a driver to experience a lapse in concentration?
It can be quite easy, Hal. With so many factors to consider and the intense focus required, even the most experienced drivers can have a momentary lapse. That's why mental training and staying in the zone are so important.
Oh, this is getting intense. Astrup is just behind Brian. The gap between John Astrup and Patterson is growing. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. Great driving from Astrup, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th. Looks like Fauvargue is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. The mental game is just as important here. Fauvargue must keep their cool while putting pressure on James. It looks like Alan is pulling away from Dominic Fauvargue. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Ireland.ie. It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Superb driving from Brian Patterson, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. Anyone who says that RRM Motorsport Club is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
Seems like Linfield is getting in range of Jack. It's not going to plan for Jimmy Linfield. They're still behind Bedding and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. Disappointing for Linfield, they now find themselves in 12th. It's a thrilling pursuit as Dom is right behind Daniel Cox's, keeping the pressure on for 7th place. It's not looking good for Fovard. They're still behind Coxis and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
It's not over yet, but Fovard needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Daniel.
A brilliant maneuver from Dominic, who has just moved up the field. Daniel Coxis appears to be trying to find a way round Dominic Fovard. They could make a move on them in Ireland.ie. Looking at the lap times, Daniel's not on pace with Dom. Can they turn it around? It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Astrop trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Brian Patterson. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can John Astrop close in enough to mount a challenge? The gap between John Astrop and Brian Patterson is widening. It's now up to 0.9 seconds.
This is where the mental toughness of John comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing even when things aren't going their way.
The drivers have been working hard to come up with the perfect race strategy. They've been looking at the weather, the track conditions and the performance of their cars.
Now it's time to put that strategy into action and see if it pays off.
The race is heating up as Chris in 8th closes in on Dominic Fovard. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. It looks like we might get a battle between Stokes and Dominic.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
It looks like James Allen is pushing hard to catch up to Danny Darwin. The gap is over a second, but James Allen is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Danny Darwin? A great moment for Allen, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
The race is really heating up. John is hunting down Brian Patterson with everything they've got. It seems like Astrop is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. Things are heating up as Stokes tries to close the gap to Fovard. Chris Stokes appears to be losing ground on Dom. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they... Hold on a moment. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 9 kph out there right now.
Dom is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Fovard should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Darwin.
Big gains for Fovard as they move up the field, leaving Danny Darwin behind. It's like DCB has saved all their energy for this final stretch.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. David has certainly risen to the occasion.
The leader has just finished the race. A fantastic result for David Constable Berry. Finishing 14th is Mac McFarquhar. Van der Sande takes second place with a fantastic race. Impressive drive from Brian Patterson to claim the final spot on the podium.
Impressive driving to secure that spot.
With John Astrop, James Allen, Dominic Fovard and Chris Stokes in 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. Danny Darwin, Daniel Coxis, Jack Bedding and Rich Snape take 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. Twelfth sees Jimmy Linfield. Robert Cormack brings home 13th.